Got it.
That machine will squash you like an insect!
Interesting.
You're here. Good. I assume that means the Northwest is secured.
It is. How about you?
Well, we managed to fend off their first attack. They aren't Purity, though.
What then?
Mercenaries. They don't have a banner, so they could be about anywhere. Thing is, they've put up a siege weapon of sorts right up that hill, which prevents us from retaliating.
What kind of weapon?
I don't know. It looks like some kind of catapult, but it seems to be magic-fueled and throws fireballs which cause massive damage. We're out of reach, but the moment we move against their camp, it'll decimate us within seconds.
Whereas, if you attack the machine directly, the mercenaries themselves will fall into your backs.
Or swarm right into the city, yes. We weren't enough to split up, but now we are. Good timing, in other words.
So you want us to destroy that weapon?
Yes. The moment it is down, we'll go for that strong point.
We could also take on their camp by ourselves.
I don't think that's wise, Tahar. You'll be outnumbered, but I can't stop you.
There it is. Take it down.
Shit! Kill them!
Blazes! Help me, somebody!
I understand.
Killed one of our heroes.
Get up.
Corporal, that should do it.
Then we should join Angar. He'll need help with his attack.
Corporal?
They will burn. Sure.
Is there anything you need?
Really?
Whatever's necessary. Blazes! This is Commander Katras from Aenir's Deathman.
So he's fighting for the Purity now.
Corporal Tahar. What a surprise.
Katras, why?
Don't talk, friend. Fight.
Blazes! Help me, somebody!
He killed one of our heroes.
Come on, don't die on us now.
Anything on your mind?
Blazes, Tahar. Now I know why Lacane wants you dead. You really know how to fight.
Why, Katras? Why side with the Harbinger?
Blazes, you do like your dramatic lines, don't you? Look, this isn't personal. Lacane and his fanatics took down my camp and gave me a choice. Repent and accept the light, or have some stern-faced priest ram a bloody pike up me arse. So, unless you have some odd fantasies that I don't want to know about, don't tell me you wouldn't have done the same.
A loyal man wouldn't have.
Well, good thing I never swore loyalty to you or the Empire, isn't it? Don't kid yourself, Lord Marshal. You would have done the exact same thing. Pretend all you like, in the end we're all selfish pieces of shit, and the only difference between me and you is that I'm honest about it.
Any last words?
I hate to disappoint, but we're not quite there yet, friend. Goodbye, Tahar. Too bad we couldn't be on the same side this time.
What the?
The teleport rune. Wise choice.
Bloody coward. At least we secured the entrance. That's what matters. What about the rest of the city? Are we safe?
Not yet. Hold your position for now. We'll meet at the Nexus once all this is over.
Understood. Tiara's blessings to her.
What's next? Almost through. Just one more entrance to go. What do we need?
That way. All right.
Zarik's fangs. Tahar.
Now we
Lazes, it is you. Last time I saw you, you were lying on that stone bed like a bloody corpse.
That's about how I felt when I woke up. What's the situation? I don't see any Purity men around here.
No, not Purity, but someone else. According to my scout, they're gathering their forces down that valley. My gut tells me they're waiting for reinforcements.
If it's not the Purity, who are we dealing with? Another one of the royal houses?
No, I don't think so. To me, they look like bandits. But they're fighting under Aeonir's banner. And the man my Kayran hunter took down had the Purity symbol tattooed right across his forehead.
The Bane. The ones who massacred the Nortander outpost in Leafshade.
Huh. Yeah, that fits.
Damn it. What's the plan then?
Well, now that you're here, I say you move out and crush them. We'll hold our position and cover your backs.
Simple enough. All right then. Move out. Almost through. Just one more entrance to go.
All the more reason to hurry.
Leave it to me.
You read my mind.
The fabled pariah. Interesting. I thought you were dead.
Why are you doing this? Throwing your lives away for some deluded madmen.
Deluded? You're confusing something, Tahar. The Harbinger is pure. We're pure. You. People like you are who are making this necessary. It wasn't always like that, you know. A long time ago, this world was a world of peace. But then man gave in to temptation. They were weak, and they chose sin over virtue, sin over purity. And now look where we stand. Our history is a testament to our corruption. Wars, rape, hunger, illness. They are Aeonir's punishment for defying him. But that era has come to an end. We will make the world pure again and make it worthy of Aeonir's return.
You're fanatics. You've completely lost your mind.
On the contrary, we found it. But you're beyond repentance, so let's save ourselves the breath and end this already. Not bad, Tahar. Not bad.
Any last words?
Yeah. Listen.
What the?
Go after me and lose your city and your friend, or save them and let me go. Your choice.
She got away.
No time to go after her. We need to secure the entrance.
Yes?
Easy.
I understand.
What?
A trap. I should have seen that.
Their leader got away.
I figured. But it won't be the last time we see her. We secured the entrance. That's what matters. What about the rest of the city? They attacked from all sides at once.
Yes, I know. We'll take care of it. Just hold your position for now. Once all this is over, we'll meet at the Nexus.
Understood. Don't die, Tahar.
I'll do my best. So many casualties. I just don't understand. We just ended one war. Now the Harbinger starts another.
Human nature, Tahar. People need an enemy. Peace is always fleeting.
Do you really think so?
I do.
What do you mean? She was possessed. This doesn't make any sense.
I'm afraid it does. But again, I have a theory. Let's wait for Tahar.
There you are. I've assigned troops to guard the entrances and double the defenses. If the Harbinger ever strikes again, we'll be prepared.
Good work.
Anyway, there are more important things we need to discuss now. For starters, what, by the Guardians, happened to my sister?
That's a damn good question. Iskrim, you said that you have a theory.
Well, yeah, I do. The rune. While you were asleep, I tinkered with it a little.
You think the rune has something to do with this?
A rune. But it's probably best if I show you. Follow me, Tahar.
I'm coming too.
All right, let's see. Turn around.
Tiara's breath.
Step forward. So, you get the idea.
Mind control.
Yeah. There are still some critical problems with it, and what I've done is far from what the Harbinger did with Lady Moira. But Tahar, this rune, it has so much potential. If you thought what it does with the Godstones was fascinating, it's just the beginning. The Shapers, the Khazarlanthep, they knew their full potential. And this is the reason they were so powerful. Do you see it now? They...
Have you lost your bloody mind? Stop that! Whatever it is! Stop it now!
What?
Stop it for fuck's sake!
Fine. You're free. Go and take a nap.
Unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
So you actually possessed those men?
No, I mean, yeah, the rune did. Look, Tahar, I know that I was maybe a bit too enthusiastic here, but can't you see the potential? Those soldiers, they do anything you command them to, without batting an eyelid.
They still look hypnotized. Are they free now?
Yeah. It may take a while to recover, but tomorrow they won't remember anything. So it's not that bad. Who knows? Maybe they would have died in the fight if they hadn't been under my control.
Iskrin, this is wrong. Completely, utterly wrong.
Alright, just cool your head, will you? I know my way of handling things might not have been optimal, but hey, at least now we know what we're up against. You could at least give me that much credit.
Just never do something like this again. And you think that the Harbinger controls Lady Myra, right?
Yes, and in an extraordinarily powerful way, if I may say so.
Huh. In other words, we need to find a way to break that possession. Right now, House Utran is under the Harbinger's control.
Madness. This is madness.
Whatever it is, let's tend to the wounded first. We'll discuss everything else in the Nexus.
Yes. Let's do that.
All right, let's catch our breath first. Angar, I'll talk to you when I'm ready to discuss the next steps.
Good. I'll be waiting.
Yes? Interesting.
Ah, Tahar. Never mind.
Something on your mind?
Well, maybe. Remember when you asked me about Rain? The other gifted shaman from my tribe?
Yeah? What about it?
I want to talk about it. I'm not supposed to, but I don't know. I trust you, Tahar, and I've kept silent about this for far too long. Zarek's fangs, this is so silly. I feel like a damn child.
I'm not forcing you.
Right. Where do I start? Before becoming a shaman, every disciple has to go through a trial. The Iron Trial, as it's called. I told you that I did most of my training in Solitude, didn't I? That wasn't true. 5 years after I entered disciplehood, another orc was accepted by my elder. A female named Rain. She was 2 years younger than me.
I thought only male orcs can be gifted.
No. It's just that for female orcs, it's even rarer to have magic. Which is why there are close to no female shamans.
Huh. How did you get along?
Well, at first, I was a complete dick to her. I was jealous and feared for my position. However, she never took offense by it. She fired back at me when I got childish, but at the same time never lowered herself to my level. As the years went by, we became friends. And no, there was no courting or mating involved, if that's what you're thinking. She was more like a sister to me, and one who, unlike my true kin, understood me. Those years in the Orcish steppes, they were special. We spent days, weeks out in the wild, doing whatever our elder tasked us with. And though it was hard, there was beauty in that. We just had this connection between us, this trust.
Sounds like friendship to me.
Yeah, friendship. I never had a connection like that again, and I rarely talk about it. One time I did, the orc I told it to laughed right in my face. He thought it was ludicrous, a male spending time with a female who wasn't his mate. He stopped laughing when I broke his nose.
But something happened, am I right?
Yeah, the trial did. The sacred test every disciple has to take before he or she can become a shaman. Our elder sent us both at the same time, which was unusual. But of course I was relieved. There was plenty of talk about the Iron Trial, and I was scared.
How did Rain feel about it?
Same as I. Believe me, Tahar, only a fool would have entered into the trial with a smug smile on his face. We knew what was ahead of us.
What did you know about the trial?
Rumors. Shamans are forbidden to talk about it. But it was known that only half of those who take it return at all.
So what happened?
Zarek's fangs. I can't believe I'm telling you this. I'm breaking my oath.
Don't do anything you'd regret later.
I won't. We weren't told much about the trial. Only that we'd have to venture to a cave, far up in Barga Gore. They also didn't tell us how to get there. Only that Zarek would guide us. And he did. After a week of traveling, we found it. It was a strange place, Tahar. I saw that right from the beginning. The entrance looked like a mouth, the rocks surrounding it like the bones of an old forgotten beast, and the stalagmites like hundreds of teeth. But of course, we went in. We had to.
What did you find?
A giant hall. It was as mesmerizing as it was unsettling. There were murals and carvings all over the cave walls. Old glyphs that I'd never seen before.
Shaper glyphs, maybe?
No, not Shaper. They looked as if the Guardians themselves had carved them into the rock.
Interesting. What else was there?
Nothing. That's what baffled me. Apart from those murals, the hall was completely empty. And for some reason, the ground in that hall was completely smooth, like polished stone. There were braziers, one in each corner of the hall, and they were burning brightly. Rain was as confused as I was. But, nonetheless, we entered the hall. And that's when the trouble began. Because all of a sudden, the exit was gone. No magical noise, nothing. Just in that moment when we looked the wrong direction, it disappeared. And instead of it, we were looking at another wall.
How is that even possible? Maybe it was an illusion.
That was our first thought too, but it wasn't. That new wall was as solid as every other rock in that hall.
Strange. What did you do?
Well, after we calmed down a little, we assessed our situation. We figured that this was the Iron Trial, and that it was our task to find another exit. So we started looking. But it was pointless. There was nothing. We couldn't even hear the wind anymore. For the next 14 days we were trapped. We couldn't make that wall disappear, and no matter how long we studied the glyphs, how long we prayed, nothing happened. On the 5th day, our provisions had come to an end, save for half a skin of water and a handful of jerky. On the 8th day, it was all gone.
Blazes. How did you survive?
I'm getting there. As you can imagine, the thirst was the worst. It drove us mad, and we searched every corner of that goddamn hall for just a drop of water. Not that we hadn't looked before, but as you know, hope dies last. Have you ever had thirst, Tahar? Real thirst?
No.
And hope it stays that way. I'd rather bleed out on a pole than experience that again. On the 11th day, Rain and I were puking our guts out. Our skin had literally started to crack, and I felt as if I was burning from within. On the 12th day, we were only an inch from death. That's when the dream came.
A dream?
Yes, a shared dream, almost like a vision. We were still in that hall, Rain and I, but we were out of our bodies, floating like spirits. At first I thought we had died, then I saw what was different. The floor was full of blood, and that blood was burning. The murals and glyphs had started moving, twisting, like shadows dancing on a wall. That's when I first understood what they were depicting. For some reason in the real world, I'd never been able to.
What did they depict?
It showed what was expected from us, what we had to do to get out. Sorry this isn't easy. I've dreamed about those weeks ever since. But telling someone, it feels bizarre. Zarek demanded a fight. Either one of us died by the hands of the other, or we would die there together. The Iron Trial. We were never both meant to pass.
Truth be told, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and it shouldn't have surprised me either. But for some reason, I don't know. He had known Tahar, our elder, our master. He had known that it would come to this. Yet he still decided to send the two of us out at once.
So you fought each other?
No. Trial or not, I would have rather died than done that. And that's precisely what I told Rain. A god that demands a man to kill his own sister is not a god that deserves worship by anyone. But Rain wouldn't have it. She claimed that if both of us died, both of our lives would be wasted for nothing. I got angry and asked her if she meant that she wanted to fight me. She said no.
I don't understand.
She wanted me to kill her. She told me that she was already too weak to make it down the mountain anyway, but that I could still make it. Believe me, Tahar, if there had been any strength left in me, I would have punched her just for suggesting it.
Did you ever consider sacrificing yourself?
No. I know it makes me sound like a coward, and maybe that was part of the reason why I didn't. But the sane part of my mind still believed that there had to be another way. That all this was just some cruel joke, and the cave we had found maybe wasn't Zarek's after all.
And yet, you're here.
I am. I should have known before she even did it. She always had to have it her way, no matter the price. It happened when I was asleep. She took my dagger from its sheath, put it into my hand, and drove it through her throat without hesitation. When I opened my eyes, her blood was already all over my face. And as if Zarek had been watching all along, the wall disappeared. No noise. Just like that. The wind was back, and it was raining outside. The first time in months. I like to think that she saw it before she died.
Did you make the descent?
I did. There were berries in a mountain goat that had been hit by a rock slide, right next to the exit. It was so absurd I almost had to laugh. When I got back to the Elder's shack, I screamed at him, then broke down and started to cry. He just listened. In the end, he told me that we had both known what had been at stake. Yet we agreed. Choice and consequence. He made me a shaman the next day.
Do you blame yourself sometimes?
Of course I do. But ultimately, it was her choice. And all I can do to honor her now is to respect it.
That's cruel.
Maybe. But without cruelty, there isn't life. Don't you too send brothers and sisters into battle, Tahar? Children, fathers. You do it because ultimately, you believe the outcome will lead to a world more desirable. It was the same with Rain and me. We wanted to be shamans, Zarek's chosen, and we both paid the price.
I see.
There's one more thing. Remember when you asked me why I feel the way I do about our culture? Why I think we orcs should strive for more? It's Rain who made me realize that. Most orcs would have fought each other in that cave, to the death. But she didn't. Instead of submitting to her primal instincts, she made a sacrifice. One that I could have made too, if I hadn't been such a coward. Blazes, it feels strange to have told you all this. But, I don't regret it.
Well, thanks for trusting me with this, Gore.
Let me have some time for myself right now, alright? I need to think.
To this day, the Shaper's magical and technological prowess remains unrivaled.
Tahar, thank Nihal if you're awake. For a while I wasn't sure you'd make it. How do you feel? Out on the battlefield, we didn't really get the chance to talk.
Confused.
I can imagine. It's a tragedy. The purity on the loose, with the power of the Archfire in the Harbinger's hands. Who could have seen that coming? For what it's worth, I'm sorry I had to go through this. I truly am.
I always had my doubts about Lacane. Only I didn't expect this to happen.
I figure.
Be that as it may, all that matters now is that we stop him. What about you, Iskrim? I doubt whatever bargain you struck with Lacane still stands. You're still here, so I guess you aren't planning on leaving.
Me? No, of course not. Where would I go, Tahar? There's no way of knowing what the Purity would do if they caught me. He wanted to kill you, so maybe Lacane doesn't want to leave any witnesses. Not to mention that we're still in the ancient Shaper city, full of marvels waiting to be discovered.
This isn't a game, Iskrim. We're at war.
I know, Tahar. And I will do all I can to help you end it. There's, one more thing I wanted to ask you. It's about your mother. About Andra.
Ask.
I'm not sure how to say this, but she was a Shaper. A living Shaper.
Don't talk about her as if she's already dead. Lacane only trapped her.
Of course. Sorry, I meant no offense. See, Tahar, all tragedy aside, you have to understand how fascinating this is. A Shaper who survived through the Aeons. And as if that weren't enough, you even turn out to be related. I have so many questions, Tahar, so many questions. Iria said that the moment Andra and you melded, she made you see something. Fragments of her past. Now, I can't help but wonder, what was it? Did you see Mullandira in all its former glory?
I didn't see anything. It's more like I suddenly have that sense of familiarity. Especially here.
But that's even more exciting. She must have transferred some of her memories onto you. I wonder if that's part of this melding ritual. Look, Tahar, I'm not sure how to say this, but how would you feel about it if I examine her? There's so much we could learn from her, even if her mind has left her body.
What do you mean by examine? We're not talking about a dissection, are we?
What? No, of course not.
Why? What are you hoping to gain from that?
You mean apart from being able to examine the body of a living Shaper? There's much we could learn. Maybe we could even find something that helps us fight Lacane.
If you really think it helps, all right. Do it.
You really just said that? By Nihal, Thank you. It'll be a while before I can start, but I'll do so as soon as possible. Thank you, Tahar. Thank you. Tahar, may I help you with something?
Goodbye. Yes? Let's see. She's breathing. But her spirit is gone. Damn you, Lacane. Will do. Interesting.
I was hoping you'd come by. That was quite the surprise visit, wasn't it? The Harbinger couldn't have picked a better time for his attack.
I guess you could say that. How's your injury? That blast from the barrier looked quite painful.
The blast? Oh yeah, sure. I'm as good as new. One of the perks of being a light mage. Tahar, I'm sorry. For everything.
What do you mean?
Well, what you discovered in that dungeon. I didn't see that coming, honestly. I mean, I'd always felt you were different, but an experiment of your father? I would have never guessed. And now that bastard Lacane took your mother. It's just... one tragedy follows another. Now I feel almost ridiculous thinking about my supposed problems.
We can still save her.
Yeah, I know. And we will. Blazes. How crazy does that all sound? A half-shaper whose mother's spirit has been stolen by a religious fanatic. If all this weren't actually happening, I'd think I'd be watching a bad play. Though you'd definitely be the tragic hero in this, and I don't envy you.
I appreciate your concern, but I'm fine.
Are you? Tell me, Tahar. If you had had the choice, would you have wanted to know? About your mother and how you were born?
Well, what about you? Your father also never told you who your mother was. Would you want to find out?
Good question. On the one hand, yes, I think I would. But then again, I never made any serious efforts to find out. I guess in the end it wouldn't have really mattered. She is dead, I know that much. And whether she was a priestess of the White Tree or a slum dweller, it wouldn't have changed the fact that she wasn't there when I grew up. But you're a different story. Your mother is still alive. And she's a shaper. I mean, doesn't that change everything? Would you really have wanted to know?
It doesn't really matter, does it? I found out, and now I have to deal with it.
Well, if you can see it that way, then I envy you. I always wonder about the what-ifs. Anyway, Shaper or not, it's good to have you back. Honestly, there were times when I was worried you wouldn't ever wake up again.
I'm touched.
You better be. Anyway, in case you were wondering, I'm not planning to leave now. If you need my help, I'll be here.
You don't need to stay. You know that, right? Our work with the Purity is over, and nothing's stopping you from going back on the road.
Safer than mage murdering Lightbringers, right? Look, unless you want me to leave, I'll stay, and I'll fight. And no, I'm not trying to sound heroic. Apart from the fact that there's worse company than you, the dwarf, and the others we picked up along the way, I can't just stand by and watch while those bloody fanatics do their best to plunge this world into yet another war.
Thanks, Iria. I really appreciate it.
Great. And now that we've got that out of the way, you should get some more sleep. You still look like a walking corpse. Don't make a habit out of it. I'll talk to you later. Corporal? Need anything?
You never told me why you fled Finan Mir.
Fair enough. You've given me little reason to distrust you, so... Oh well. Let's just get this over with. I already told you about my father, how to him I had always been more of an asset. Well, after my father died, I decided to become a novice.
A novice?
Someone aspiring to be a priest of Elen. I don't know why I did it. It was something my father had always considered a backup plan if an arranged marriage wouldn't work out. Part of it was probably because obeying my father was all I knew at that time.
What does life as a priest of Elen look like?
Boring. Though not as boring as a Northander monk's life. You are free to have family and to indulge in the earthly pleasures. Still, your life is devoted to worship. And for a priest of Elen, that means healing the sick and preserving Elen's greatest gift, nature.
Was it difficult to receive the novitiate?
Not for me. First of all, I was a good candidate. I was still very young, not even in my 30s. And I already knew a great deal about magic and healing. Secondly, I was, after all, pure blood. That helped as well.
But something happened.
Yes. In my first year, I fell in love. That crazy, hot-blooded, head-over-the-heels kind of love that the bards all sing about. The boy felt the same way, and for the next year it was, well, it was perfect. It was the two of us against the world. Maybe you know that feeling.
And the priests didn't mind?
Priestesses. Only women are allowed to teach. And no, they didn't. Elves consider love to be a blessing of Elen. Forbidding it would be near absurd. I have no clue where your monks got that idea from. Though, of course, that boy and I tried to, restrain ourselves when the situation demanded it.
What was his name?
Doesn't matter.
Huh. And I guess your romance didn't end well.
You guess right. But it was more than that. You know, I told you how I always felt estranged around other people. I knew how to put on a smile, how to make myself fit in, but it was always fake. Shallow. With him, it was different. Dramatic as it may sound, I thought I had finally found someone who understood me. Then there was the novitiate. Despite all the time I sunk into doing the crazy things lovers often do, I never failed as a student. Or, no, let's put it another way. I was the best, in every aspect.
Which didn't sit well with some people.
No. And eventually, they made sure I felt it. They excluded me from everything, stared at me when I walked by. It hurt, yes, but I convinced myself it didn't. I've always been good at that.
Did it take a toll on your relationship with that boy?
More than that. My lover's friends started manipulating him. Telling him that I only saw him as my pet, that he was a failure, and that I only kept him around to feel good about myself.
What? And he listened to them? That's pathetic.
Maybe. But he was young, same as I, and young people often do irrational things. You see, we novices all knew that only 4 out of 20 will be granted priesthood at the end of our training. And being a failed novice leaves you with a mark you'll keep for the rest of your life. It all looked peaceful on the surface, but beneath that it was an arena. And these other novices, they made sure my friend became aware of that fact. To him, I started being a rival as well. And do you want to know the biggest joke of it all? I didn't see it. The idea that, I don't know, that he would listen to them. That he would ever reach a point where he'd put what we had below his hurt pride and his fears. It never crossed my mind.
So what happened?
Well, he knew I was curious by nature, so one night when we were in bed together, he suddenly asked me if I wanted to go on an adventure. Of course I said yes. So we snuck out into the cloister's courtyard. It was beautiful. The night was cloudless and the old oak, our cloister's shrine, had just begun to bloom. We made our way to the library building, but of course the door was locked. Out of nowhere, he pulled a key, grinning at me, and opened it. It was insane. As you can imagine, priests aren't known for being lenient towards these kinds of trespassings. We were risking our novitiate, and I didn't even know the reason, but I liked it. And we were doing it together, weren't we? It was exciting. He took my hand and we went to the High Priestess's office. We opened the door and went inside, and there he finally told me what we were here for, to open the grimoire.
Grimoire?
The High Priestess's spellbook. It was a stupid idea. And if I hadn't been so blind, so bloody naive, I should have seen it by then. But I didn't.
What did he ask you to do?
To open it and try to read one of the spells. He teased me. Told me that I wouldn't be able to do it. You know, saying it like that sounds so bloody stupid, doesn't it? But again, I was too blind. I laughed. I wanted to impress him, so I gave him a kiss. Opened the page and started saying the words. Long story short, I lost control. The spell was too much for me to handle and it misfired. One moment I was staring at the pages, the next one the library was aflame and my lover was gone.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. I was the one too stupid to see it coming.
How far did that fire spread?
Not far. It was put out before it could do real damage. But, of course, that was the end of novitiate. I was thrown into the cell of shame and sentenced to 12 years of polishing prayer banks and cleaning floors in the shrine.
Did you try to tell the priestesses the whole story?
No, I just sat there and smiled. Of course I did. But my love had all his friends to back him up. To them, it wasn't even a trial. It was a feast.
Your lover, did he regret it?
I think so. The only bloody gratification I ever got from this. But even if he would have confessed and begged me to take him back, I couldn't have. All that connection, that trust, it was gone. Worse, it was tainted.
But you never did polish those prayer banks, am I right?
No. In the night after the trial, they still let me sleep in my chamber. Thoughtlessness, I suppose, or maybe they simply didn't care. I got my things, left, and never came back. So, here it is, the whole truth. No dark secrets, no assassinations, no necromantic rituals. Just a plain old broken heart. Compared with all that shit you had to go through, it almost sounds ludicrous.
Maybe running away wouldn't have been the only option. You gave up everything just because some dimwit played a trick on you.
Trick? It was more than just that. It's just, I don't get it. How could he give all that up? I mean, there was something between us, you know? Something rare, something precious. But no, he threw it all away for his fucking vanity. But in a way, it's just a continuation of what I've always known. Wherever I am, I'm a stranger. People don't like me, and I don't like them.
For what it's worth, I'm glad our paths crossed.
Yeah, me too, Corporal. Me too. I'd like some space now. I hope you don't mind. Let's talk later.
Understood. Now would you look at that?
So, I guess we have some talking to do, don't we?
You knew about my mother, didn't you? That's what you hinted at back at the forge, before we set out to the Eye.
Well, the answer is yes and no. I had suspicions, let us call it that, but they weren't enough to go on, and I had no idea your mother was connected to the Bloodburn.
Why didn't you tell me?
That I believe you might be the result of your father's experiments? That you're the offspring of some long-dead, forgotten race? Tell me, Tahar, what for? I mean, at best, you wouldn't have believed me. And at worst, it would have cost you your sanity. So no, I don't think I should have told you. I didn't know if these suspicions had any substance at all. And I would have been at great risk, especially back then when you were still part of the rebellion.
Where did these suspicions come from? Did my father tell you?
No. And he never found out that I knew. Your father... I don't need to tell you how meticulous he was, do I? That's why he always kept notes of his experiments and studies. I found one, a notebook. The story's actually quite simple. Your father had gone out to meet with Aelot Iskander, and had tasked me with cleaning up his laboratory.
Really? He never let me into his laboratory.
I know. And he wasn't exactly trustworthy towards me, neither. But you know Asamo. His mood was never what you'd call stable. One day, he'd think the entire rebellion had schemed against him. The next day, he told us that we'd change the world. It was part of his charisma, I guess. Sometimes I think the reason why the Mage Rebellion became so big was less of Asamo's magical powers, rather than his ability to create emotions in his followers. But we digress. So I had found this small booklet on his table. It didn't look important in any way, yet I was immediately curious. I opened it and started reading.
What was in there?
His experiments in the Eye. The ancient woman, as he called her. Your creation, these waxwork figures which he tried to infuse with life. It was disturbing. And at the same time, fascinating, as you can imagine.
That book. Did it say anything about how this ritual worked? Andrew said something about how the Shapers conceive differently.
I don't think it can be compared to how two humans reproduce, if that's what you're thinking. But as for the details, I don't know. As I said, I barely had 1 hour. And I only got to the chapter about you in the very end.
Do you still have that book?
No, of course not. I couldn't even read through all of it, else your father would have noticed that I had done nothing of what he had tasked me with. And I have no idea where it is now.
I figured. So, Why did he, well, create me? My mother said it was to gain access to the Archfire.
Yes, I think that was the main reason. Though I couldn't help but notice a certain, I don't know, warmth in his words when he described his plans.
Was there?
I know it sounds cynical, Tahar, but yes, there was. Still, I don't think you were just a tool to him. You weren't. Tell me, Tahar, knowing all that, how does it make you feel?
I just found out that my mother is a Shaper corpse, and that my father created me as a tool to gain power. How do you think I feel?
You're right, I'm sorry. It was a stupid question to ask. Either way, I think we both need some time to think. As I said, Tahar, I'm sorry that I didn't tell you earlier, but I simply didn't know what to do.
I want to buy some better...
Music to my ears. What did you have in mind?
I want to buy some better equipment.
Music to my ears. What did you have in mind?
What do we need?
Best you talk to my mother.
Oh, the corporal. Quite a nice place you found yourself here, I have to say. Thanks again for helping us out in that bloody desert. So, if you don't mind, we'll unload our cart and smithy here. As promised, we can provide you with the best weapons and armor on Northander. The only thing we need to ask of you is a small donation every time we craft something for you. I know, you saved our lives, but we still need to cover for the material.
No problem. I'll make sure to drop by from time to time.
Splendid. Me have strength, Corporal.
Armors and shields. Everything from copper daggers to moon silver swords. Pleasure doing business with you. Come again. I'm getting new wares by the next moon's turn.
Interesting.
Yes, Corporal? How can I help?
About you being an assassin. You said that you might be willing to tell me more about that at another time. How about now?
I'm still not certain. The question really is, do you want to know? It might change something.
Such as?
Your perception of me. It is your choice.
Well, I wouldn't have asked otherwise. Tell me.
All right. Where should I begin? Do you remember what I told you about that man who bought me from the Greyfell Bazaar? My owner? I also told you that after an incident, he discovered my talents and made me an assassin.
I remember. But what does that have to do with your morality?
It's complicated. The incident took place at a festivity. A lot of highly influential people were there, servants of the crown, wealthy merchants, nobles. My master knew all of Greyfell's elites. As always, at these festivities, it was my and the other slaves' responsibility to ensure the guests' well-being. It must have been close to midnight when a man took me into his chambers. I'd learned to play along years ago, because resisting only made it worse. This time, however, was different. For some reason, that man wanted me to tell him that I loved him. I did, but he kept on telling me that I should say it like I really mean it. When I couldn't, he got angrier and started choking me. I had almost lost consciousness when I felt something break. I don't know how else to put it. It was as if my mind simply cracked open, like a crystal ball smashed against a mirror. And all of a sudden, that man and I weren't separate entities anymore.
I don't follow.
My magic, my dreamweavery, that's when it broke free. You probably don't know this, but the only way to become a dreamweaver is by shattering your mind. You are opening yourself to the thoughts and emotions of others, but you lose your own.
Wait, Dreamweavers don't feel and think?
No, we do. But it's differently than normal people. Me. The Iana you're talking with is the result of long work and studying of human behavior. I know how to blend in, to seem like I'm just like you. But the world inside my head is an entirely different one. Again, it is almost impossible to put into words if you're not a dreamweaver yourself.
What happened to the man?
I killed him. It wasn't a conscious choice, looking back. I even think that shattering my mind was my body's way of ensuring survival. I closed my eyes, reached out for the man's mind, and just crushed it. The man gasped, lost balance, and fell right off the bed. He wasn't dead yet, but unable to move. Like a puppet rid of its strings. At first I was disoriented. But then I felt it, for the first time. The urge.
To kill him?
Yes. To massacre him. Hear his screams. To see his life taken by my hand. I grabbed a lantern that was standing on a bedside table and knelt over him, and... well, you can picture the rest. To get back to your original question, that urge, it stuck with me. I think that the moment when my mind shattered and I became a dreamweaver was what unlocked it. Ever since then, I've found violence and bloodshed to be ecstatic, erotic even. And when I kill someone, like I killed that man, I feel alive. Actually, it's one of the few times I am capable of feeling anything at all.
Huh. And this is why you became an assassin?
Yes. My master introduced me into the craft. Probably because he knew that my dreamweavery had changed me. I wasn't just a slave child anymore. I was a weapon now. More than that, even. I needed what these new tasks my master sent me on provided me with. It had become a basic need of mine. Of course, I briefly considered changing my profession after my master had his accident. But I didn't. Killing is something I need, as much as a child needs the love of his mother. If I don't feed my urge, I will die. Not physically, but mentally. I just know this.
Well, that was definitely not what I was expecting.
I can imagine.
But is there no way to cure you? To return your mind to its original state?
No, there isn't.
What about your victims? Don't you ever feel guilt?
Once again, Tahar, I do not feel emotions the way you do. Of course I wonder if I made a mistake. but my reflections are purely based on theory. But then again, I don't accept just any contract. The way Leonidas described you, you were a monster in human disguise. And that's the first principle I try to live by. Criminals first. The second one is never kill a mother or a child, regardless of the pay.
But what if you're wrong? If you kill an innocent?
That has happened before, and it will happen again. You see, I do not consider myself some kind of vigilante, some kind of judge. Ultimately, I know that I am what society would call a murderer, and that I do what I do for myself, above all else.
That's a lot to take in.
I know. Now tell me, Tahar, do you regret asking me this question? Knowing all this, do you think I'm a monster?
I don't think you're a monster, no. But I can't understand how you can choose to give in.
As I said, it's a matter of survival. But I understand why you would feel this way. Anyway, I would like some time for myself now. I hope you understand. Yes, Corporal? How can I help?
Goodbye. Let's see.
So, back on your feet again, aren't you? Good, because there's plenty of work ahead of us. Do you think you can handle it? Leading the troops, I mean?
Why wouldn't I?
Well, you've obviously been through a lot. Finding out that your mother's a shaper, and that you are the result of some experiment, that leaves scars, whether you want it to or not. At least all that explains why your aura has always felt so strange. You're not human, at least not entirely.
Well, my shaper blood obviously doesn't show. I don't really feel any different than other humans do.
How do you know? You ever been one? Either way, we'll find a way to get your mother back. What that fucking bastard did will not go unpunished. Trust me on that.
So I guess that means you're staying.
Yeah, you guessed right. But at least for now. You're not the only one with an interest in seeing the purity of light have their fucking stakes shoved up their own asses. Now we should probably get back to planning. There's plenty of things we need to do if we want to get Greyfell back from that fanatic.
Right. I'll see you around then.
You will.
What's next? Now would you look at that? Interesting. Got it. Will do. Mm-hmm. Got it. Will do. Understood. Got it. Mm-hmm. Will do. Let's see. You'll regret this. They will fall. You read my mind. Got it. Mm-hmm. Understood. Will do. Got it. Whatever's necessary. Mm-hmm. Understood. Mm-hmm. Got it. Will do. Understood. Got it. Will do. Now would you look at that? Interesting. Whatever's necessary. They will fall. Let's see. Yes. Interesting. Understood. Will do. Yes? Got it. Understood. Will do. Got it. Understood. You read my mind.
Don't let down your guard.
They will fall. Understood. Now would you look at that? What do we need? Interesting. Let's see.
Tandai Tahar. Come to trade?
Come take a look. I'm sure I've got something that might spark your interest. You know how to bargain, don't you?
Got it. Interesting. I want to buy some better equipment.
Music to my ears. What did you have in mind?
Will do. Yes?
Tahar, ready to discuss the next steps?
There's just one thing I still can't wrap my head around. How did Lakain become so powerful? How could he rally so many people behind him?
The big question, isn't it? In the end, I think it boils down to the fact that he poured salt into the wounds the Mage Wars had left in Northander. You see, it's not hard to rally people behind you if they are desperate enough. He just gave them a simple answer to a complex question. And the people believed him. Though I don't consider him a pragmatist, he really believes in what he says, that Aeonia will return once mankind has repented, which worries me even more. There's nothing more dangerous than fanaticism fueled by magical power. Your father is the best example.
I want to talk about Sentenza, his death.
Well, what is there to say? As I heard the story, he didn't leave you much choice.
So you're not angry?
For you defending your life? No. I never understood why he was so obsessed with hunting you down to begin with.
But he was acting on your orders.
Well, yes, strictly spoken, he was. You were a traitor. Or at least, that's what we thought back then. That witch hunt in Iskander, the battle at the Eye, that was his choice.
Why? Why did he want me dead so badly?
Well, I can only guess. But to me, it seemed as if he felt as if you had, I don't know, betrayed him. He always spoke highly of you. Did you know that? At times, it almost felt as if he considered you his own kin.
Well, if he did, he didn't show it very much.
That doesn't surprise me. Sentenza was never good at expressing emotions. You see, Tahar, in the end, both he and I are men born from war. Seeing people die at your command, hearing the widows and the orphans cry as a result of your choices, it changes you. You need to find a way to deal with it, and Sentenza did so by shutting off his emotions entirely. Or, at least, to the outside. But in the end, he always did what he thought was best for Northander. He saw the Harbinger's true face, even before he revealed it. And I brushed it off as his usual distrust towards anyone, which was, as you know, a fatal mistake. And who knows, maybe if I had listened, it would never have come to this.
Without the Harbinger, I'd be dead.
That's true. But this discussion isn't leading us anywhere, Tahar.
You didn't tell me yet. How exactly did you get here? Weren't you in Greyfell when the Harbinger took over?
No, I wasn't. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here. But we were on our way back the night it happened. As you can imagine, it was a hard choice to make. But eventually, I left my pride behind and realized attacking Greykeep with the little division I was traveling with would have been suicide.
So you fled?
We retreated. The rest is simple. We went to Iskander because we had heard the rumors about your army. There we met one of your scouts, and then the elven woman, Iria of Finon Mir.
Oh, she decided to let you in?
Correct. You know the rest. Your people were a bit distrustful at first, and I don't blame them. After all, they'd been fighting the Royal Army not too long ago. But eventually, they realized that we were on the same side.
For what it's worth, I'm glad to have the Lord Marshal of the Royal Army in our ranks.
Well, right now I doubt if I still deserve to bear that title. Half of the Royal Army is gone, and I'm to blame. But I appreciate the sentiment.
Alright, let's discuss what comes next. I'll go get the others.
Good.
Good. Now that you're all here, I'd like to plan how we proceed. As...
Tahar, I think you should allow yourself some more rest. You were in a coma for more than a month, and we still don't know what that melding actually did to you.
Isn't it obvious? It made him more powerful.
Yeah, but where does that power come from? What effect does it have on the human body or the psyche? We don't know.
I'm alright, Iskrim. Just trust me.
Fine. Then go on.
Thank you. So, our objective is clear. We need to defeat the Purity of Light and save my mother. Angar, am I right to assume that Lakain made Greykeep his new base of operations?
Correct. It's the center of his power, which is both good and bad. It's bad because Greyfell was built to withstand any kind of ambush.
And why is it good?
Because it also means if we succeed and reconquer Greyfell, we'll cut off the snake's head. Once we kill Lekain, the purity will fall. However, there's no point in fooling ourselves. That battle for Greyfell will be bloody, and if we want to have even the slightest chance of winning, we need to join the remaining houses.
Ultran, Hallet, and Wulfgar.
Yes. If we put this army together with theirs, we might stand a chance. Also, you should see if you can strengthen the alliances you already have, Tahar. I have a plan regarding that, so we can talk further once this meeting has been concluded.
So do I.
All right. So where do we start?
It's up to you. But before we can even think about arranging a conclave between the houses, we need to break that spell the Harbinger put on my sister Myra. Isgrim, any ideas?
Actually, it should be simple. We need to find the one controlling her, take the rune, and, well, destroy it in the forge.
And who is controlling her? What if it's the Harbinger himself?
I doubt it. The manipulator has to be physically close to his subject, so it'll most likely be someone in Lady Myra's army. But your rune will react to another rune's presence, so once that person is near, you'll feel it.
Good. Then I have a plan. The Harbinger has taken up position in Iskander, between the Utran and the Everlight border. You know that place, Tahar. It's where your father started his rebellion, and where Sentenza almost captured you.
The Loyalist camp. So what's your plan?
We strike in full force and take the castle. He'll be forced to initiate a counterattack, and my sister's armies, the Utran army, will be the closest ones at hand.
A bait.
Yes. We hold the castle against the main army, whereas you, Tahar, and a small troop get behind enemy lines. You find the rune carrier and strike from the shadows. Obviously, you'll have to act quick. We can't hold against the entire Utran army forever.
What if killing the rune carrier won't break the mind control?
We'll just have to hope that doesn't happen.
All right. So we take over the castle, wait for the Utran armies to cross the border, sneak behind their lines, and eliminate the rune carrier. And once Lady Myra is freed, we will try to gain the support of House Hallett and House Wulfgar.
Yes, though we'll need to take care of something else before that. But let's discuss this when the time comes.
Agreed. One more thing. This will be dangerous, and our original mission has been completed. In other words, if any of you are thinking of leaving, now is the time. Well, then we best get prepared now. I'll tell you when we head out.
Understood. Tahar, I'd also like to talk with you if you have a moment.
Corporal Tahar. A word, if you will?
Who are you?
Private Miller, Corporal. I'm from the Royal Army and came here with the Lord Marshal. We've captured someone who we suspect belongs to the Purity. He was seen in the deserted village outside this city, and he looks suspicious. He claims to be a simple courier sent to deliver a message to you, but we didn't want to take any risks. He's outside, near the entrance to the caves.
I see. Thank you, soldier. Dismissed.
Corporal?